Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, may I request to please rise for the national anthem. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, may I just inform you that the presentation's agenda will be displayed on this screen and here, and at the same time we have translation from the language that will be spoken to a language. For example, if English is spoken, Russian language will be displayed here also and also on the back, so that we have a 360-degree visibility. Now I have the honor to invite His Excellency Ambassador Asad Majid, Secretary General of the Economic Cooperation Organization, for his opening.
To the government of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and the National Disaster Management Authority for their gracious hospitality and excellent arrangements made for this meeting. I thank all delegations for their steadfast commitment to advancing a safer, more resilient ECO region and for the valuable expertise they bring to our deliberations. Excellencies, this meeting provides a timely platform to consolidate lessons learned, align our regional priorities with the Sendai framework, and accelerate practical measures that strengthen institutions, enhance risk information and early warning systems, and embed disaster risk reduction into public investment, urban planning, and critical infrastructure. By fostering collaboration among governments, technical agencies, academia, the private sector, and civil society, we can translate shared intent into implementable, well-financed actions that protect lives and livelihoods, reduce systemic risk, and secure sustainable development gains across the ECO region. Ladies Ladies and gentlemen, today's agenda reflects both continuity and ambition. We gather to make decisive progress on core pillars of our regional cooperation, updating the ECO regional framework on disaster risk reduction for 2025-2030, revising projects and proposals in alignment with the Sendai framework, and adopting the Islamabad Declaration as our collective political commitment to implementation. Together, these steps will shape the next phase of resilience built by our member states. The region remains among the world's most hazard-exposed areas, facing earthquakes, floods, landslides, droughts, avalanches, and sand and dust storms, often compounded by climate variability and cascading risks. These hazards threaten lives, livelihoods, infrastructure, and supply chains. Over the past cycle, member states institutions invested in early warning systems, expanded risk information, and advanced public awareness. Yet, the scale and frequency of events, as well as systemic risk, demand a renewed framework that is practical, measurable, and inclusive. Honorable heads of delegations, the proposed update of ECO-RF-DRR is anchored in the priorities of the Sendai framework and the lessons of its midterm review. It underscores regional solidarity by enhancing cross-border cooperation, joint exercises, and search support to address transboundary hazards and complex emergencies. To operationalize this framework, we propose a coherent phase program for 2025-2030 that is results-driven and implementation-ready, with a central focus on revising our project pipeline to align with the priorities and the updated ECO-RF-DRR. The proposals reviewed by the high-level working group meeting, which are now presented for your consideration, indeed merit your endorsement. Excellencies, the Islamabad presented for your adoption today is the political anchor for implementation. It commits us to a number of important actions, including updating of the ECO-RF-DRR and the revision of the regional project portfolio within a defined time frame. To translate the declaration into outcomes, the Secretariat stands ready to support member states with technical coordination, resource mobilization, dialogues, knowledge exchange, and monitoring support. Distinguished delegates, the path ahead is clear. By updating the ECO-RF-DRR, revising and endorsing our project portfolio in line with the Sendai framework, and approving the Islamabad Declaration, we convert collective intent into concrete action. Let us set measurable milestones, clarify institutional responsibilities, and maintain a disciplined focus on implementation. Above all, let us ensure that our most vulnerable communities are at the center of our plans and the first to benefit from our investments. The central focus of all our work, put in simple terms, is really to overcome challenges that we face in dealing with the whole range of disasters through closer regional cooperation and collaboration. The idea is to build our capacities by learning from each other in areas where each one of our member states have acquired a certain level of expertise. For instance, Pakistan has, over the years, developed sound expertise in dealing with flood emergencies. Turkey and Iran in dealing with earthquakes, and countries in Central Asia with challenges of land degradation and desertification. Through closer cooperation and collaboration, we can certainly help each other in building building our respective capacities in dealing with these disasters. Excellencies, similarly, our capacity to anticipate and predict disasters and develop early warning systems through seamless exchange of information and monitoring of weather and seismic patterns within the ECO region would also go a long way in enhancing our ability to predict and effectively deal with disasters and mitigating their adverse impact. This is where we want to go, and this is where we should be as a region. The ECO's new strategic goals of economic cooperation that are being developed, the ECO RFDRR and the Islamabad Declaration, all essentially seek to achieve this through a range of regional collaborative efforts and instruments. Let us reaffirm our commitment to redouble our efforts to achieve the DRR-related goals and targets. Concluding my statement, I thank all member states and our regional and international partners for their steadfast support and cooperation. The ECO Secretariat is committed to supporting you in delivering this agenda with urgency and accountability. Together, we can reduce risk, safeguard development gains, and build a resilient ECO region where no one is left behind. I thank you for your indulgence, and may I now, consistent with the rules of procedure of the Economic Cooperation Organization, invite the head of the National Disaster Management Authority of Pakistan, Lieutenant General Inam Haider Malik, to chair the deliberations of this 10th ministerial meeting. Henceforth, the House can elect him as the chair of this session. And if we see no objections, I will request General Inam Malik to take over the reins of this meeting henceforth. Over to you, Excellency.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and a very good morning to all delegates. I'm very grateful for all those delegates who have traveled from their areas of origin and then joined for the 10th Ministerial Conference of ECO region on disaster risk reduction. We are also very glad host of the event in Pakistan, Islamabad, and I endorse the compliments from the President of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and the Prime Minister and the Government of Pakistan officials from all corners. And we warmly welcome all the guests who have been to this place a few times, and also we are very glad to initiate this formal dialogue on disaster risk reduction because this is the call of the day. We underscore that in the current environment of global climate change and the disasters which are unfolding at an unprecedented scale and intensity in the region, it is important for us to highlight that in the last couple of years, the annual losses which have been impacted in all the countries of the world have risen. They have increased manyfold. And unfortunately, the support is very less, which can be utilized by all the countries. We maintain that this is a collective concern and the response has to be generated collectively. We need to work together so that we can underscore or limit the disasters risks which are threatening every country around the world today. In the last couple of years, like 2024 and 25, Pakistan National Disaster Management Authority, through this platform where we are housed today at National Emergencies Operations Center, has tried to develop the futuristic disasters projections and the probabilities of the impacts of the hazards which are impacting all the regions of the world. We strongly believe that it is collective responsibility, and starting from ECO region for disaster risk reduction, we would like to gradually expand these initiatives at the global scale, because climate change stays as a climate global threat, and it would impact everybody, whether it is developing world or the developing nations. The impacts are going to be far-reaching, and they are threatening the economic survival of all nations. That means we need to solidify our concerns, our confidence in our abilities, and try to do something which we can. Looking in the close neighborhood neighborhood of Pakistan, we maintain that ECO region is best placed for increased collaborations for disasters risk reductions. Looking at the far distant regions of the world, it's okay for the global concerns, but I guess as we have seen in the last couple of years, whether it has been the flood situation in Pakistan, the extreme seismic earthquake events in Turkey and other places in the last 2 years, and other glacial meltings and other anomalies which are impacting our Central Asian republics, we are very concerned that the response has to be generated and developed from within this region. We are continuously engaging other partners, and we would be very glad to invite additional observers and partners of this collaborative frameworks. I'm very honored to also thank our ECO Secretariat, which has selected Islamabad as the destination for this event. And we have seen in the last couple of days that very meaningful discussions have been taken, and which are now leading to the formalization of the Islamabad Declaration today. Ladies and gentlemen, today at the end of this short session, we would also showcase that what Pakistan has achieved so far in the proactive disaster management, and how we can offer our experiences and the utilities for the common goods of all the interested partners and who are interested in collaborations. We have maintained that while managing the disasters, it is important to give the due respect to science, technology, experience, trainings, resilience, and proactive preparation for all the communities. We are very glad that we are now being joined by our other humanitarian partners too in the follow-up sessions, and we would very sincerely offer anything or any milestone which has been achieved by Pakistan for the common good of the region and the globe at large. I once again thank our ECO Secretariat officials and the member delegates for joining us today, and we look forward for a very healthy and meaningful discussions around the day. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, now the draft agenda for the meeting will be displayed in front of you, and if we see that if there are no comments or objections, then we will go to the next one. If you look at the screen above, we are looking at the formal session, which is now at serial 3. After the adoption of the agenda, then we go for the country statements by the ministers and representatives of the regional and the international organizations. I would like to, sir, invite our partners in the sequence, as I would keep asking the names, and then you will request the delegates to go for their country statements. May I request the Republic of Azerbaijan delegates to start with their opening remarks and the statement, please.
Уважаемый председатель, уважаемые коллеги, участники мероприятия. Прежде всего хотел бы поприветствовать вас от имени Министерства по чрезвычайной ситуации Азербайджанской Республики и выразить искреннюю благодарность правительству Исламской Республики Пакистан, Национальному агентству по управлению чрезвычайными ситуациями, а также Организации экономического сотрудничества, секретариату за высокий уровень организации настоящего мероприятия и неизменное лидерство в укреплении регионального сотрудничества в столь важной сфере. Проведение данного министерского заседания является важной платформой для обмена опытом и выработки согласованных подходов к вопросам снижения риска бедствий, которые приобретают все большую актуальность для стран региона Организации экономического сотрудничества и за ее пределами. Учитывая возрастающее воздействие природных и техногенных угроз, укрепление регионального сотрудничества, развитие механизмов раннего предупреждения и повышение устойчивости наших обществ к чрезвычайным ситуациям становятся приоритетными задачами. Правительство Азербайджанской Республики придает большое значение укреплению национального потенциала в области готовности к чрезвычайным ситуациям, а также оценки и снижения рисков бедствия. Хотел бы подчеркнуть, что в Азербайджане на государственном уровне сформирован четкий и системный подход к определению стратегической значимости вопросов предотвращения чрезвычайных ситуаций и снижения риска бедствия. Основная цель данного подхода – обеспечение устойчивости нашего общества и экономики, что достигается за счет инвестирования в приобретание меры и снижения уязвимости, что в сравнении с затратами и ликвидацией последствий чрезвычайной ситуации и бедствий является значительно более эффективным и экономически обоснованным подходом. Хотел бы также отметить, что в настоящее время в Азербайджане ведется последовательная и целенаправленная работа по подготовке национального стратегического подхода в области снижения риска бедствий в рамках единой государственной системы по предупреждению ситуациям Азербайджанской Республики. В соответствии с государственной политикой Азербайджан активно реализует комплексные меры по обеспечению устойчивого развития, подтвердив приверженность повестки Дня ООН в области устойчивого развития до 2030 года, Парижскому соглашению по климату и Сендайской рамочной программе по снижению риска бедствий на 2015-2030 года. Азербайджан официально присоединился к реализации повестки 2030 и последовательно интегрирует ее цели в национальные стратегии развития. В этой связи ключевую роль играют стратегические документы, определяющие долгосрочные и среднесрочные приоритеты развития страны, включая Азербайджан-2030, национальные приоритеты социально-экономического развития, а также стратегии социально-экономического развития Азербайджанской Республики на 2022-2026 годы. Уважаемые участники заседания, для Азербайджана снижение риска бедствия является не только технической повесткой, но и стратегическим приоритетом, направляемым, связанным с устойчивым развитием климатической устойчивости и безопасности человека. Наш регион все чаще сталкивается со сложными и каскадными рисками, включая землетрясения, наводнения, лесные пожары, засухи, оползни, а также последствия изменения климата. Это вызов требует коллективных, скоординированных и дальновидных ответных мер. В этой связи Азербайджан полностью поддерживает ведение изложенной главам государств Организации экономического сотрудничества на 17-м саммите Организации экономического сотрудничества, состоявшегося в Ханкенде в июле 2025 года под девизом «Новые ведения Организации экономического сотрудничества для устойчивого и климатически устойчивого будущего». Данный саммит подтвердил нашу общую приверженность преобразованию политической воли в конкретные действия, в частности в области снижения риска бедствий, гуманитарного сотрудничества и адаптации к изменению климата. Завершая свое выступление, хотел бы пожелать всем участникам заседания успешной и плодотворной работы. Благодарю за внимание.
Since our two delegates from our participants, Afghanistan and Kazakhstan, have not been able to join, we'll straight away now move to our Kyrgyz Republic delegation for their opening remarks and the statements.
Уважаемый господин председатель, уважаемые главы делегации, уважаемые коллеги. Прежде всего, позвольте приветствовать всех участников 10-й министерской конференции Организации экономического сотрудничества по снижению риска стихийных бедствий и выразить благодарность организаторам конференции за теплый прием, высокий уровень организации и создания эффективной площадки для обсуждения актуальных вызовов, стоящих перед всеми мировым сообществом. Сегодняшний формат нашего заседания имеет особое значение, поскольку он ориентирован не только на обмен мнениями, но и на принятие конкретных решений, определяющих дальнейшее развитие регионального сотрудничества в сфере снижения риска стихийных бедствий. Уважаемые коллеги, регион Организации экономического сотрудничества относится к числу наиболее уязвимых к стихийным бедствиям регионов мира. Изменение климата, рост экстремальных погодных явлений, деградация экосистем и трансграничный характер природных процессов усиливают риски для населения. Инфраструктуру и устойчивого социально-экономического развития наших стран. Для Кыргызской республики, как горной страны Центральной Азии, эти вызовы носят системный характер, высокая сейсмическая активность, селевые и оползные процессы, паводки, а также ускоренное таяние ледников напрямую влияют на безопасность населения и устойчивость экономики. В этой связи мы рассматриваем снижение риска стихийных бедствий как неотъемлемую часть национальной и региональной политики устойчивого развития. Кыргызстан является активным сторонником глобальных инициатив, направленных на укрепление устойчивости к бедствиям. С 2015 года мы реализуем Сендайскую рамочную программу по снижению риска стихийных бедствий и цель устойчивого развития ООН, интегрируя управление риском бедствий в национальную стратегию развития. Мы активно развиваем систему мониторинга и раннего предупреждения внедрением цифровых инструментов оценки уязвимости, обучаем спасательные подразделения и укрепляем международные взаимодействия через совместные учения, обмен опытом. Убеждены, что никакая страна, независимо от уровня развития и ресурсов, не сможет в одиночку справиться с нарастающими глобальными рисками. Только совместные действия, основанные на доверии, солидарности и общих ценностях, позволят нам выстроить устойчивое будущее. Кыргызская республика последовательно поддерживает обновление рамочной программы Организации экономического сотрудничества по снижению риска стихийных бедствий на 2025-2030 годы. Рассматривая его как важный стратегический документ, который задает единые ориентиры для государств-членов в вопросах перехода от реагирования на чрезвычайные ситуации к их предупреждению, снижению уязвимости и управлению рисками. Уважаемые коллеги, Кыргызстан, являясь горной страной, наиболее подвержена стихийным бедствиям природного характера, таким как землетрясения, оползни, камнепады, сели, паводки, подтопления, лавины и прорыва высокогорных озер. Количество чрезвычайных ситуаций, происходящих в Кыргызстане, с каждым годом возрастает, оказывая свои негативные последствия на развитие страны и, прежде всего, местных сообществ. По всей стране насчитывается более 17 тысяч опасных зон и участков. Ежегодно происходит более 300 чрезвычайных ситуаций. Около половины доли валового внутреннего продукта Кыргызстана является чувствительной к погодным и климатическим явлениям. Изменение климата повышает подверженность метеорологическим опасностям, и эта тенденция, вероятно, всего будет расти вследствие продолжающего глобального потопления. Мы высоко оцениваем роль механизма и платформ сотрудничества в рамках Организации экономического сотрудничества как эффективных инструментов региональной координации в сфере снижения риска стихийных бедствий. Организация экономического сотрудничества объединяет государства-члены, международные и региональные организации, научные сообщества и экспертные структуры для совместного анализа рисков, обмена знаниями и технологиями, а также выработки согласованных решений, направленных на переход на реагирование к предотвращению бедствий и от устранению последствий, к управлению рисками. Кыргызская республика выступает за дальнейшее укрепление потенциала Организация экономического сотрудничества в области предупреждения катастроф, адаптации к изменению климата и повышения устойчивости сообществ. В данном контексте мы призываем к расширению обмена научными и технологическими разработками, повышению потенциала национальных служб гражданской защиты через международные тренинги. Совместное учение и обмен передовым опытом, а также переходу от реагирования на отдельные чрезвычайные ситуации к комплексному управлению рисками. Дорогие коллеги, завершая свое выступление, хотел бы еще раз подчеркнуть, что регион Организации экономического сотрудничества является крайне уязвимым и подверженным рискам стихийных бедствий. Вместе с тем вызывает удовлетворение тот факт, что государства-члены Организация экономического сотрудничества осознают серьезность данных вызовов и придают приоритетное значение вопросам управления рисками бедствий, в том числе через проведение регулярных министерских конференций. Надеюсь, что наш небольшой опыт в данном направлении внесет вклад в общие дела по сокращению рисков стихийных бедствий. Так как главной целью сегодняшнего мероприятия является укрепление сотрудничества между нашими структурами, развитие потенциала совместных действий и обмен опытом. Благодарю за внимание.
Thank you very much, Excellencies, and we are very glad that you have underscored very important points of linking the disaster risks to the economies of the region. And we understand that some of the areas which you have highlighted, they also stem and originate from ECO's previous declarations in the previous years. And like if you have the same you have indicated on the need of joint collaborations, technological exchanges, simulation, joint exercises, and more community programs, which we will definitely take into consideration and adopt in the declaration ahead. Excellencies, may I now request the Republic of Tajikistan for their official statement, please.
Уважаемые главы делегации, уважаемые коллеги, дамы и господа. Прежде всего, позвольте выразить глубокую благодарность правительству Исламской Республики Пакистан за высокий уровень организации данного совещания, которое объединяет наши страны для обсуждения актуальных вопросов, предупреждения и ликвидации последствий чрезвычайной ситуации, а также позвольте выразить искреннюю признательность за теплый и радушный прием. Для нас большая честь находиться в дружественном Пакистане и продолжить конструктивный диалог, направленный на укрепление сотрудничества между нашими чрезвычайными ведомствами. В последние годы под руководством наших правительств и при активном участии профильных ведомств нашей страны добились значительных успехов в укреплении доверия, обмана опытом и повышения готовности к реагированию и природных технологических угроз. Уважаемые участники совещания, для Республики Таджикистан, как для большинства стран региона, тема снижения риска стихийных бедствий имеет особое значение. Географическое положение нашей страны, горный рельеф и изменение климата создают объективные вызовы, требующие совместных и согласительных действий на региональном и международном уровнях. Мы считаем крайне важным развитие механизма обмена информацией, раннего предупреждения, совместных учений, подготовки специалистов, а также создать региональную сеть реагирования на стихийные бедствия. Уважаемые коллеги, мы убеждены, что только совместными усилиями через взаимопомощь и солидарность можно эффективно предотвратить вызовы, связанные с изменением климата, стихийными бедствиями и техногенными авариями. Таджикистан готов к активному участию в разработке и реализации регионов, программ, направленных на снижение рисков бедствий, развитие устойчивости инфраструктуры и укрепление потенциала гражданской защиты. В заключение позвольте выразить уверенность, что итоги сегодняшнего совещания послужат укреплению взаимопонимания, доверия и дружбы между нашими странами, а также дадут новый импульс для развития партнерства в области предотвращения и ликвидации потерь чрезвычайной ситуации и устойчивого развития. Желаю всем участникам совещания крепкого здоровья, благополучия и дальнейших успехов в нашем общем благодарном деле защиты жизни и безопасности людей. Благодарю за внимание.
Thank you very much, Excellencies, and we are very glad to also note that we are willing to collaborate and go to the next level of technological advancements, cooperation between the countries, and definitely it will take us to something meaningful. Excellencies, may I now request the Republic of Turkey for their official statement, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished Ministers, Honorable Secretary General of the ECO, dear NDMA, esteemed delegates, I am pleased to address you today at the 10th Ministerial Meeting of Economic Cooperation Organization on disaster risk reduction. I would like to thank the government of Pakistan for hosting this important meeting and for their kind hospitality. Before beginning my speech, I would like to express my condolences to those who lost their lives in the fire at the shopping mall in Karachi and extend my deepest sympathies to the people of Pakistan. Disaster risk reduction is no longer an option. It's a necessity for sustainable development. The frequency and intensity of disaster, combined with climate change and rapid urbanization, require us to move from reactive approaches to proactive and preventive policies. In Turkey, disaster management is carried out under a centralized and strong institutional structure. The Disaster and Emergency Management Authority, AFAD, operates under the Ministry of Interior, enabling effective coordination among other ministries, local authorities, academia, and civil society. Our approach is based on integrated disaster management, covering risk reduction, preparedness, response, and recovery. Among those phrases, risk reduction is our strategic priority. This approach is fully consistent with the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. Accordingly, as members of the ECO, we took an important step in 2021 by launching an 8th ECO Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction in Turkey. At the conference, we adopted the ECO Regional Disaster Risk Reduction Framework and roadmap for its implementation. Thus, we succeeded in implementing one of the regional risk reduction mechanisms envisaged in the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, which came into force in 2015. Similarly, the real-time seismic data exchange protocol, which we signed as member countries at the 8th Ministerial Conference, was an important step in implementing concrete cooperation in our region. In the past 10 years, nature-based disasters have impacted up to 100 million people in our ECO member countries. In the years to come, there will probably be more disasters linked mostly to climate change and geohazards that will affect us. As an example, the 2022 floods in Pakistan affected millions of people and were described in international reports as one of the largest floods in recent years. On On 6 February 2023, we experienced one of the largest disaster events in its history in Turkey. 2 devastating earthquakes with 9 hours apart on the same day affected 18 provinces, directly impacting more than 14 million people. Immediately after the earthquakes, Turkey mobilized all national capacities. AFAD coordinated the largest search and rescue operation in our history with strong international support. On this occasion of this meeting, I would like to once again express Turkey's sincere gratitude to all of the ECO's member countries and international partners for their in-kind, financial and personal supports, as well as their significant contribution to transforming the disaster of the century into solidarity of the century. Over the past 3 years, Turkey has implemented an unprecedented recovery and reconstruction program guided by the principle of Build Back Better. With the strong leadership of our President, Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and the effective coordination of our institutions, we have constructed hundreds of thousands of high-standard earthquake-resistant homes. By constructing more than 455,000 permanent housing units, we delivered new homes to all eligible beneficiaries whose houses were destroyed or severely damaged within 3 years of the earthquakes. At the same time, we have strengthened our legal, institutional, and technical frameworks to ensure that lessons learned are fully integrated into future policies. Esteemed delegates, disaster risk reduction in Turkey is an integral part of our development agenda. At the national level, the Turkey Disaster Risk Reduction Plan provides a strategic framework that links risk analysis with sectoral policies and public investments. We have been implementing the local reflection of Turkey Disaster Risk Reduction Plan through the 81 provincial risk reduction plans since 2021. These plans strengthen local ownership, improve institutional coordination, and translate national priorities into concrete actions on the ground. By doing so, we aim to ensure that development gains are protected and that public resources are invested wisely and responsibly. Risk reduction policies must be supported by science and data. Turkey has a strong technical infrastructure in this field. We operate an intensive national earthquake observation network consisting of a large number of seismic and strong motion stations. In addition, AFAD coordinates the National Earthquake Research Program, which brings together universities and research institutions to improve hazards analysis, risk modeling, and innovation in disaster risk reduction. In our country, multi-hazards in nature. Therefore, our risk reduction efforts address earthquakes, floods, landslides, avalanches, and other hazards. Through a protocol signed between AFAD and the State Hydraulic Works, significant river rehabilitation and flood mitigation projects have been implemented, especially in the Black Sea region where flood and flash flood risks are high. Over a period of approximately 20 months, more than 22 million cubic meters of debris and sediment have been removed from nearly 300 riverbeds that pose flood and flash flood risks. We have also implemented landslide mitigation and slope stabilization project, rockfall protection measures, avalanches prevention projects in high-risk mountains areas, and early warning system for floods and meteorological hazards. All these efforts aim to reduce potential losses and protect communities before disaster happen. Esteemed delegates, AFAD has carried out humanitarian assistance assistance operation in more than 80 countries across 5 continents, responding to earthquakes, floods, conflicts, famines, and complex humanitarian emergencies. Though rapid deployment teams, emergency relief supplies, temporary shelters, and coordination with international partners, AFAD has provided life-saving assistance to millions of people in need. Turkey's humanitarian assistance is guided by the principles of humanity, neutrality, and solidarity, with a strong emphasis on reaching affected population as quickly and effectively as possible. In this context, AFAD has also played a key role in the delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza, providing emergency relief supplies and essential assistance to civilians affected by the humanitarian crisis. Despite difficult conditions, Turkey has continued its effort to alleviate human suffering and support those in need. We did not remain silent in the face of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. In order to give a breath of fresh air for the oppressed, we delivered a total of 105,000 tons of aid materials to the region by 18 ships and 14 planes with the support of our NGOs. On this occasion, I would like to emphasize that we are determined to continue our support for the legitimate struggle of Palestinian people, and that we will mobilize all our means to this end. It's a requirement of our deep-rooted history, our strong civilization, and our advanced understanding of humanity to extend a hand to every oppressed person wherever they are in the world. Disaster risk reduction is a shared responsibility. The ECO region is highly exposed to earthquakes, floods, droughts, landslides, and climate-induced risks. No country can address these challenges alone. Turkey strongly supports regional cooperation, knowledge sharing, joint training programs, and capacity development under the ECO framework. We attach great importance to strengthening cooperation with ECO member states in the field of disaster risk reduction. In this context, AFAD stands ready to share its experience and technical capacity in several key areas. These include the development and joint use of all-based earthquake pre-damage and loss estimation system developed by AFAD, which support rapid decision-making before and immediately after major earthquakes. Cooperation can also be enhanced in earthquake analysis software, risk modeling, and the strengthening of seismic monitoring and observation capacity across the ECO region. In addition, Turkey is open to collaboration in training, capacity building, data sharing, and joint research programs with the aim of improving regional preparedness, early warning, and resilience. Closer technical and institutional cooperation, ECO member states can collectively reduce disaster risk and strengthen resilience across the region. Let me conclude by emphasizing this message. Disasters are not inevitable. Losses are preventable. Resilience is achievable if we act together based on science, solidarity, and shared responsibility. Turkey, through AFAD, remains fully committed to working with ECO member states to build a safer, more resilient future for our region. On this occasion, once again, I would like to express my gratitude to the Secretary General of the Economic Cooperation Organization, National Disaster Management Authority of Pakistan, for organizing the meeting. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Excellencies, and it was very important to also note that we are showcasing individual skills in multiple management of the disasters, and at the end we will be able to also see a collaborative joint framework where we can make use of these experiences and exposures of our member countries in a very specific domain. For example, we can assign certain responsibilities of specialities for guidance, training, joint development on the specific disasters component. May I now request the honorable delegates from Republic of Uzbekistan for their official statement, please.
Уважаемый генеральный секретарь, уважаемые главы делегаций, участники совещания. Позвольте от имени Министерства по чрезвычайным ситуациям Республики поприветствовать всех участников заседания и выразить чувство глубокого уважения. Хотел бы также выразить особую признательность пакистанской стороне за прекрасную организацию данного мероприятия, теплый прием и искреннее гостеприимство. Мы высоко ценим представленную экономической организацией сотрудничества, возможность для углубления обмена между членами и партнерами механизма международного сотрудничества, а также укрепления взаимопонимания и добрососедства между народами в сфере предотвращения стихийных бедствий. Уважаемые участники совещания, сегодня в ходе докладов наших коллег прозвучали оценки непростой ситуации в мире, связанные с экологической безопасностью и изменением климата. Эти явления становятся одним из самых острых вызовов современности и требуют глобальных коллективных усилий со стороны международного сообщества. В этой связи мы убеждены, что взаимная поддержка и совместные действия министерств, ведомств, чрезвычайным ситуациям наших стран современного явления. Предупреждение и ликвидация чрезвычайных ситуаций имеет первостепенное значение. Необходимо и далее расширять практические партнерства в целях преодоления современных угроз, связанных с климатическими изменениями и природными катастрофами. Уважаемые коллеги, мы уверены, что механизм встреч глав чрезвычайных ведомств нашей организации стал еще одной авторитетной площадкой для открытого диалога, обмена опытом и выработки согласованных подходов к развитию взаимодействия и партнерства. Объединение наших стран под эгидой инициативы Объединения экономического сотрудничества открывает уникальные возможности для дальнейшего сближения, координации действий и объединения усилий в области предотвращения и ликвидации чрезвычайных ситуаций. Уважаемые участники заседания, Республика Узбекистан, как и другие страны, сталкивается с угрозами возникновения различных чрезвычайных ситуаций. Благодаря своевременным предупредительным мероприятиям значительных потерь и ущерба удается избежать. Правительством Республики Узбекистан уделяется особое внимание систематическим мерам по защите населения и территории от чрезвычайных ситуаций, связанных с опасными гидрометеорологическими и геологическими явлениями. Главной целью проводимых реформ является повышение эффективности комплексной защиты населения и территории от бедствий, существенное сокращение к 2030 году числа погибших и пострадавших, а также прямого экономического ущерба от последствий стихийных бедствий. Одновременно совершенствуется государственная стратегия, направленная на контроль за ведением строительных работ в зонах, подтвержденных риску бедствий и переселения населения из таких зон с учетом действующих норм и правил. Эффективно реализуются профилактические мероприятия по снижению риска бедствий в рамках новых законодательных норм и соответствующих стратегий укрепления потенциала противодействия чрезвычайным ситуациям. На основании действующих нормативных актов ежегодно выделяется финансирование средств из республиканского бюджета для реализации адресных программ по защите населения и территории от природных угроз. За последние 5 лет объем государственного финансирования на эти цели увеличился в 3 раза. можно с уверенностью сказать, что надежная защита населения от разрушительных последствий изменений климата, природных и технологических катастроф возможна только в условиях широкого международного сотрудничества, основанного на принципах взаимопомощи и доверия. Уважаемые главы делегации, уважаемые участники совещания, география нашего сотрудничества в сфере предотвращения и ликвидации чрезвычайной ситуации развивается в положительном русле. Уверен, что итоги сегодняшней встречи станут еще одним практическим шагом на пути укрепления дружбы, партнерства и взаимопонимания между нашими странами и народами. В заключение позвольте еще раз выразить слово искренней признательности пакистанской стороне за высокий уровень организации совещания, теплый прием и гостеприимство. Благодарю за внимание.
Thank you, Excellencies, and may I now request the statement from the Islamic Republic of Pakistan to be read by our member DRR Pakistan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Secretary General ECO, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Pakistan appreciates the opportunity to share its perspective during the 10th ECO Ministerial meeting on disaster risk reduction. We commend the ECO Secretariat and member states for the collaborative efforts that have culminated in this important ministerial engagement. The ECO region continues to face a complex and evolving risk landscape characterized by floods, earthquakes, droughts, heat waves, glacial lake outburst floods, and increasingly interconnected cascading hazards. Like many countries in the ECO region, Pakistan is increasingly exposed to the impacts of rising global temperatures and climate change across its diverse geographic terrain. In recent years, Pakistan has experienced devastating floods, climate-induced disasters, including large-scale floods in 2022, 2025, record heat waves triggering glacial lake outburst floods and forest fires, as well as prolonged droughts and water scarcity. These risks pose serious challenges to the sustainable development and disproportionately affect the most vulnerable. Pakistan underscores the need to move decisively from reactive response approaches towards anticipatory, risk-informed, and coordinated disaster risk management. In this regard, Pakistan has embraced strategic foresight as a core element of national risk governance using advanced technologies and data-driven decision-making. A key example in the operationalization of Pakistan's National Emergencies Operations Center, which integrates satellite information, early warning data, and climate analytics to generate national common operating picture and global common operating pictures, enabling forward-looking risk analysis and evidence-based preparedness and response. This approach reflects not only technological progress, but a broader reform in disaster risk governance. Ladies and gentlemen, this ministerial meeting marks a significant milestone in our regional disaster risk reduction journey, building on the outcomes of the 9th ECO ministerial meeting in Dushanbe, Tajikistan. We are gathered to adopt the updated ECO regional framework on disaster risk reduction 2025-2030 and the Islamabad Declaration on disaster risk reduction. Together, these instruments provide a coherent political and operational roadmap to strengthen risk governance, preparedness, early warning, and data systems, and regional cooperation in alignment with Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction. Excellencies, Pakistan particularly acknowledges the valuable work undertaken during the high-level working group meeting, which laid the technical and strategic foundations for today's ministerial outcomes. The updated framework and the Islamabad Declaration will serve as a complementary tools to guide coordinated implementation, monitoring, and accountability across the ECO region. This year 2025 marked the conclusion of the foundational ECO regional framework on disaster risk reduction, which launched several regional initiatives and served as the roadmap for the implementation of Sendai framework in the region. We are confident that the updated ECO regional framework on DRR for period 2025-2030 will further advance the regional DRR agenda, coinciding with the culmination of Sendai PCI framework. Looking ahead, 2027 will mark the start of formal consultations on post-2030 disaster risk reduction, climate change, and development agenda. In this context, Pakistan underscores the importance of initiating early regional consultations through the ECO platform. This would enable joint analytical work and coordinated regional perspective, ensuring that the shared risk realities and development priorities of ECO member states are effectively reflected in emerging global frameworks. Excellencies, Pakistan remains firmly committed to the strengthening regional preparedness, early action, and response capacities. In this regard, Pakistan stands ready to share its experience through the National Emergencies Operations Center, where we are gathered today, by supporting regional cooperation initiatives, including technical assistance, joint simulation exercises, training and knowledge exchange, including through its potential role as ECO Regional Innovation Hub. Effective disaster risk reduction requires sustained investment, innovation, and inclusive partnerships. Pakistan supports deeper regional collaboration through joint simulation exercises, information sharing mechanisms, capacity building initiatives, and engagement with the United Nations agencies, development partners, academia, civil society, and the private sector. We affirm the central role of women, youth, and vulnerable groups as key agents of resilience. Excellencies, as we move forward towards the adoption of updated ECO regional framework and Islamabad declaration today, inshallah, Pakistan looks forward to working closely with all member states and partners to ensure that our shared commitments translate into tangible outcomes and strengthened resilience across ECO region. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellencies. I'm sure you have noticed that the statement from Pakistan also highlights that the significant progress and developments which we have attained in the past, and the recommendation which was shared on the screen as Pakistan offers the National Emergencies Operations Center as the ECO's hub for all collaborations on disaster risk reduction using the high-end modernized technologies and skills and methods that we have perfected over time. We would also take it as a formal part of our declaration at the end of this session today, and we would also like to host all these sessions at NEOCs at a number of simulation exercises, training programs, and a joint facility which will be utilized by all member countries and gradually expanding it beyond the region of ECO as well. And now may I have the honor to invite the Republic of Turkmenistan for their formal statement, please.
Honorable Chairman, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. It's an honor to take part in the 10th ECO Ministerial meeting in disaster risk reduction. I express my sincere appreciation government of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and the National Disaster Management Authority for their warm hospitality. Disaster risk reduction is an essential component of Turkmenistan's sustainable development policy. Our on prevention, early warning system, resilient infrastructure, and institutional coordination in line with 2030 agenda. In this context, I would like to recall the first ECO Forum on Sustainable Development in the ECO region, preceded by the high-level Sustainable Development Working Group meeting held in Turkmenistan in April 2025. The forum highlighted the importance of integrating disaster risk reduction into development planning as a foundation for long-term resilience. Turkmenistan supports strengthening ECO cooperation through informational sharing, capacity building, and joint approach to transboundary and climate-related risk. I thank our host once again and wish the meeting every success. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Excellencies, and may I now request the statement from the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I would like to express my gratitude to the government of Pakistan ECO Secretary General and esteemed authorities of NDMA for organizing this conference. Due to the recent situation in Iran, the Iranian delegation had to stay in the country, and now I'm here to represent my country. Islamic Republic of Iran, as a founding member of ECO, highly values collective efforts for regional cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellencies, and may I now request the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus for the statement, please.
Sayın Başkan, Sayın Bakanlar, Sayın Genel Sekreter, saygıdeğer delegasyon başkanları, kıymetli uluslararası kuruluş temsilcileri, hanımefendiler, beyefendiler. Kıbrıs Türk halkı ve Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyeti Hükümeti adına hepinizi en içten duygularımla selamlıyor. Ekonomik İşbirliği Teşkilatı, afet riskinin azaltılması, bakanlar toplantısı vesilesiyle sizlerle bir araya gelmekten büyük bir memnuniyet duyduğumu ifade etmek istiyorum. Bugün burada sadece ülkelerimizin değil, bölgemizin ve tüm insanlığın ortak geleceğini yakından ilgilendiren son derece hayati bir konuyu ele alıyoruz. Afetler, sınır tanımayan sosyal, ekonomik ve çevresel etkileriyle kalkınma süreçlerini doğrudan etkileyen küresel bir gerçektir. İklim değişikliği, hızlı kentleşme, çevresel bozulma ve nüfus artışı gibi faktörler afet risklerini her geçen gün daha da karmaşık ve yıkıcı hale getirmektedir. Bu nedenle afetlerle mücadele reaktif değil, önleyici ve bütüncül bir yaklaşım benimsemek artık bir tercih değil, zorunluluktur. Değerli katılımcılar, Ekonomik İşbirliği Teşkilatı bölgesi, jeolojik ve iklimsel özellikleri nedeniyle deprem, sel, kuraklık, heyelan ve orman yangınları gibi pek çok afete karşı hassas bir coğrafyada yer almaktadır. Bu gerçek bizleri bilgi paylaşımı, kapasite geliştirme, erken uyarı sistemleri ve bölgesel dayanışma konularında daha güçlü bir işbirliği sorumluluğu yüklemektedir. Bu vesileyle belirtmek isterim ki Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyeti Ekonomik İşbirliği Teşkilatı üyesi ülkeler arasındaki deneyim ve yeni uygulamaların paylaşılmasını güçlü bir şekilde desteklemektedir. Genelde teşkilatın amaçlarına, özelde ise üye ülkeler arasındaki temel işbirliği alanlarını ortaya koyan EİT Vizyon 2025 hedeflerine tam bağlılığımızı sürdürmekteyiz. Gözlemci üye devlet olarak Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyeti bu hedeflerin gerçekleştirilmesine katkı sağlamak adına her zaman üzerine düşeni yapmış, hem üye ülkelerle hem de teşkilatın kendisiyle yakın işbirliği içerisinde çalışmıştır. Bu çerçevede ülkemiz özellikle risk temelli planlama, dirençli altyapı yatırımları, toplum temelli afet farkındalığı ve kurumsal koordinasyon alanlarında afet riskinin azaltılması konusunda önemli deneyimler kazanmıştır. Ayrıca Türk Devletleri Teşkilatı çatısı altında sivil savunma ve afet yönetimi alanında işbirliği geliştirilmektedir. Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyeti'nin bu mekanizmaya tam üyeliği onaylanmıştır. Bu bilgi ve tecrübelerimizi EİT üyesi ülkelerle paylaşmaya ve ortak projeleri geliştirmeye hazır olduğumuzu memnuniyetle ifade etmek isterim. Bu vesileyle şahsi bir tecrübemi de sizlerle paylaşmak isterim. 2005 yılında Pakistan'da meydana gelen yıkıcı depremin ardından Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyeti arama kurtarma ekibiyle birlikte Islamabad kentinde sahada görev alarak arama ve kurtarma çalışmalarına katıldım. Bu süreçte afet anlarında zamanında müdahalenin, en iyi eğitimli ekiplerin ve uluslararası dayanışmanın hayat kurtarıcı önemine bizzat tanıklık ettim. Sahada edinilen bu tecrübe afet riskinin azaltılmasına yönelik politikaların yalnızca teorik değil, uygulamada da güçlü ve sürdürülebilir olması gerektiğini bir kez daha ortaya koymuştur. Aynı zamanda Birleşmiş Milletler Sendai afet riskinin azaltılması çerçevesinde başta olmak üzere uluslararası taahhütlerini ve uyumlu bölgesel mekanizmalarında güçlendirilmesi büyük önemle destekliyoruz. Saygıdeğer bakanlar, afet riskini azaltmak yalnızca can kayıplarını önlemek değil, sürdürülebilir kalkınmayı güvence altına almak, ekonomik kayıpları azaltmak ve gelecek nesillere daha dirençli toplumlar bırakmak anlamına gelmektedir. Bu doğrultuda EİT bünyesinde ortak erken uyarı sistemlerinin geliştirilmesi, afet verilerinin paylaşımına yönelik bölgesel platformların kurulması, eğitim, tatbikat ve teknik işbirliğinin artırılması, finansal dayanıklılığın güçlendirilerek mekanizmaların oluşturulması yönündeki gelişimlerin somut sonuçlara dönüştürülmesi gerektiğine inanıyoruz. Konuşmamı tamamlarken bu toplantıda eğit ülkeler arasında somut işbirliği adımlarına, ortak projelere ve kalıcı kazanımlara vesile olmasını temenni ediyorum. Bu vesileyle Türkiye Cumhuriyeti Cumhurbaşkanı Sayın Recep Tayyip Erdoğan'ın Birleşmiş Milletler'in son 4 Genel Kurulu'nda yaptığı konuşmada Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyeti'ni tanıyın çağrısı çerçevesinde Ekonomik İşbirliği Teşkilatı üyesi devletlere Kıbrıs Türk halkının haklı davasına ve ideallerine destek verilmesi açısından Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyeti'nin her alanda bağlarının daha da güçlendirilmesi yönünde çağrımızı bir kez daha yinelemek isterim. Son olarak bizleri davet eden ve ev sahipliği yapan kardeş ülke Pakistan İslam Cumhuriyeti ve yetkililerine en içten teşekkürlerimi sunar, toplantının başarılı geçmesini temenni ederim. Hepinizi saygıyla selamlıyorum.
Thank you very much, Excellencies, and we are now in the session to also have our participation from international organizations and the observers. May I now request the Director from Asia Pacific Disaster Information Management Center from Iran, Honorable Ms. Letizia Rosano. She will be joining us online and addressing the forum. The audience may look at the screens on your right and left walls of the screens of NEC. Madam, the floor is yours, please.
Ben de biraz acele ettim dedim yetişeyim.
Thank you. Honorable Chairman, NDMA Pakistan Lieutenant General Inam Haider Malik, Secretary General of ECO, Ambassador Hassad Majid, Mr. Idris Masood, Member NDMA, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, good morning. It is an honor for me as the Director of the Asia and Pacific Center for the Development of Disaster Information Management of ESCA, the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, to address this 10th Ministerial meeting on disaster risk reduction. APDIM has a long-standing collaboration with the Economic Cooperation Organization. APDIM and the ECO Secretariat are both based in Tehran, and all ECO countries are also members of ESCA. There are also great synergies at the intergovernmental level, as several members of APDIM current governing council are also members of ECO, including the host of this ministerial meeting, Pakistan, but also Turkey, Kazakhstan, and of course APDIM's own host country, Iran. Allow me, Your Excellencies, to The workshop held enhance institutional capacities across participating countries, namely Azerbaijan, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Kyrgyz Republic, Pakistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Turkey. In addition, the workshop was attended by representatives from JICA and technical and development partners organizations such as UNDRR, the Europe Center for Training and Research in Earthquake Engineering, the Asian Development Bank, and the Global Earthquake Model Foundation, and the International Institute of Earthquake Engineering and Seismology, IIES, of Iran. The workshop contributed to the translation of policy into operational practice and resulted in strong commitments to collaborate amongst the participating countries on a range of policy and technical issues, which APTIM has included in its Program of Work 2026. And it contributed also to the implementation of ECHO's Regional Disaster Risk Reduction Framework. And in this connection, we were honored in APTIM to be consulted and contributed to the formulation of ECHO Regional Disaster Risk Reduction Framework 25-2030, which is before this meeting's consideration. APTIM's role in 25-26 as the co-chair with ESCWA of the United Nations Coalition on Sand and Dust Storms gives us even more impetus in strengthening collaboration in the region on this important issue. APTIM produced the first comprehensive regional risk assessment on sand and dust storms in Asia and the Pacific, and facilitated the formulation of the Regional Plan of Action on Sand and Dust Storms, which was intergovernmentally endorsed at ESCAP in 2022. We also advanced cooperation on the impact of sand and dust storms on glaciers in Central Asia and continue to support member states with data, tools, and capacity development. In addition, APTIM, working with UN partners, has promoted the integration of sand and dust storms reporting into the Sendai Framework Monitor. More than a dozen countries are now reporting, creating a stronger evidence base to guide national policy and international support. In addition to important work on sand and dust storms at regional and global level, in 2026, APTIM will also focus on supporting countries in reducing disaster risk data governance and the application of artificial intelligence to disaster information management systems. Allow me to conclude by saying that we stand ready in APTIM to continue to build on our partnership, leveraging our respective areas of strength and focusing especially on facilitating collaboration amongst ECHO countries to tackle transboundary risks, building on our collaboration on earthquake risks, of course, but also other critical ones, including floods, forest fires, and sand and dust storms. Strengthening resilience in the region requires everyone's effort and commitment. For our part, in APTIM, we stand ready to contribute to build stronger resilience and reduce disaster risk for countries, communities, and economies alike. I thank you once again for the kind invitation to participate in this meeting and for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for your input and comments for the session. We are very glad that all the participants are putting their confident trust in the abilities and our experiences in the past, and we find no reason that our future responses and disaster risk reduction would be better than our performances in 2025 and the years before. So this year puts a lot of test and trust both on the planners, executors, and the community enablers who can help the people in the need, because the disaster scope are rising very high, and we expect that after this session we'll be able to at least solidify the recommendations into some actionable plan which can help the communities. May I now request the country representative of the Asia Disaster Preparedness Center and Brigadier Sajid Rahim, please.
Thank you, Chair. Excellency, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, a very good morning. At the outset, I would like to express my gratitude to the ECO Secretariat and the National Disaster Management Authority, Pakistan, for organizing this eco-ministerial meeting on disaster risk reduction. I, on behalf of Asian Disaster Preparedness Center, is honored to participate in this important meeting. We commend the ECO Secretariat and the member state for their strong commitment to strengthening the regional cooperation and resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, ADPC, an intergovernmental organization established in 1986, work across Asia and Pacific with the mission to meaningfully improve ability to reduce disaster risk, enhance climate resilience, be prepared for and respond to disaster in Asia and Pacific. ADPC is governed by the Board of Trustees comprising 9 founding members, including Pakistan, the Regional Consultative Committee, an Advisory Council, and the ADPC Executive Committee. Our work revolves around promoting collaboration between the stakeholders community, media, academia, and the researchers at all levels. Our strength lies in technical and analytic capacities, management capacities to leverage technical expertise and capacity building, partners network in government, NGO, civil society organizations, private sector, academia and media, and lastly, the large pool of information, tools and data. Our work spans 15 key thematic areas. The more pronounced ones are disaster risk reduction and management, climate services, disaster risk insurance, localizations for resilience, nature-based solution, preparedness and anticipatory action, private sector engagement, and resilience recovery. I understand that most of these are directly relevant to the ECO priorities. ADPC has worked for more than 3 decades across Asia and beyond to support government, regional organizations, and communities in reducing disaster and climate risk and achieving sustainable development. We see a strong alignment between the ADPC mandate and the objective, goals, and regional priority for action outlined in the ECO framework for 2025-2030. Looking ahead, ADPC sees strong potential to support ECO member states through regional collaboration, including joint capacity building, programs, regional risk knowledge sharing, harmonization of the disaster risk reduction approaches, and support for monitoring progress under the ECO framework for DRR. ADPC stand committed to supporting the ECO Secretariat and ECO member countries in translating the framework into action through technical assistance, capacity development, policy support, and regional cooperation. At the end, I would once again thank the organizers to enabling us to interact with all the participants of the meeting. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. And we'll now turn to JICA, Pakistan. I'll request the Chief Representative, Mr. Naoki Miyata, for his statement and the remarks, please.
Thank you, Chairperson. Your Excellencies, Ministers, and honorable participants from the ECO member countries. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. On behalf of Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, I'd like to express my deepest appreciation for having this precious occasion. The ECO region is highly vulnerable to a wide range of natural hazards, earthquakes, floods, landslides, and droughts. Pakistan alone has experienced devastating floods in recent years, while earthquakes in Turkey, Iran, and Central Asia have reminded us that disasters do not respect national borders. In this context, regional cooperation is not optional, it is indispensable. JICA's approach to disaster risk reduction is grounded in 3 key principles. The first principle is promoting pre-disaster investment. JICA supports partner countries in autonomously expanding, maintaining, and operating investment in disaster risk reduction, such as the construction of disaster-resilient infrastructure through their own national budgets. These efforts are aimed at promoting pre-disaster investment that contributes to long-term resilience. The second principle is strengthening disaster risk understanding and governance. JICA supports partner countries in strengthening institutional and organizational frameworks to enable the effective and efficient investment of DRR measures based on scientific evidence, such as meteorological and seismic observations. The third principle is promoting Build Back Better, BBB. When a major disaster occurs in a partner country, JICA promotes the concept of Build Back Better to ensure that the country as a whole, including the affected areas, can rebuild in a way that is more resilient to future disasters. This includes support for recovery and reconstruction planning, as well as the rebuilding of infrastructure based on lessons learned from the disaster. It is crucial not to experience a similar disaster to ensure sustainable economic development. Based on these three approaches, JICA's cooperation in Pakistan focuses on the Indus River main river, which has a large concentration of economic assets and a high disaster risk. In order to promote pre-disaster investment, JICA supports the improvement of flood control governance in Pakistan with the Federal Flood Commission, FFC, and promote public works aimed at preventing flood damage. JICA also provided the support for the National Disaster Management Plan with NDMA. For the Build Back Better, JICA is implementing the project for rebuilding dikes, hospitals, and schools after the flood 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, the ECO region must build a collective, integrated, and technologically enabled approach to disaster risk reduction to manage intensifying climate-induced disasters and safeguard development gains. I'd like to emphasize that pre-investing in resilient infrastructure, bridging governance gaps for better preparedness, and Build Back Better approach is essential. JICA stands ready to contribute to these efforts through its continued cooperation with the government of respective ECO country. With these remarks, I'd like to conclude my remarks. Thank you very much.
Excellencies, thank you very much. And may I now request the acting country representative of UNICEF in Pakistan, Mrs. Melissa Kalka. Madam.
Your Excellencies, the Secretary General of ECO, Chairman of Pakistan's National Development Management Authority, Your Excellencies, the Ministers of Member States of ECO, it's a pleasure to be here in Pakistan's National EOC of NDMA for this important meeting. UNICEF welcomes the renewed regional commitment with an emphasis on children, women, youth, and vulnerable groups as central actors in climate resilience and disaster preparedness. Across the ECO region, and I think we see a lot of that on the screens around us today, millions of children live in areas exposed to earthquakes, floods, landslides, droughts, heat waves, and extreme winters. Climate change is intensifying these risks, exposing children, the future, to injury, displacement, learning disruption, food insecurity, and of course, psychosocial distress, all of which affect future progress, development, and of course, our ability to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Just as we take one step forward, a disaster takes us many steps backward, and we no longer can afford that across the region. Your Excellencies, the regional updated framework, the Islamabad Declaration that we've been discussing over the past couple of days, and the forthcoming strategic goals are important enablers for inclusive, risk-informed development across our region. UNICEF welcomes the forward-thinking and growing emphasis on child-centered and inclusive DRR, ensuring that preparedness and response systems work with and for children, including those with disabilities, as indicated through your framework and, of course, the declaration. There is already an incredible amount of work underway across the ECO member states, and UNICEF is proud to partner with ECO and member states to advance child-centered DRR across this region. The 2-year ECO UNICEF Tajikistan work plan is helping to advance the regional framework for children and vulnerable groups. I think we'll see later today the joint ECO UNICEF animation project is helping promote DRR awareness among children across your member states. However, there is is more we can do together to make sure children, youth, and women are central to our work. The revised framework strongly acknowledges the need to empower young people and women through leadership opportunities, policy participation, and skills development in DRR. UNICEF is fully supportive of this direction. UNICEF will remain committed with member states to work collectively to strengthen children and women-centered early warning and preparedness systems, to advancing safe and resilient learning environments so children can go to school, to expanding youth and women leadership in DRR, strengthening risk data, digital tools, and evidence, and putting community at the heart and soul of preparedness by supporting localized approaches. Your Excellencies, I would like to reiterate the importance of DRR financing that prioritizes children and the most vulnerable in communities. We welcome the focus on innovative DRR financing, including risk transfer mechanisms, regional insurance models, and green investments. We encourage member states to ensure social protection systems are shock responsive. DR budgets are gender and child responsive, and investments in health, WASH, education, and early childhood services are considered core pillars of resilience. Your Excellencies, UNICEF will stand side by side ready to work with your member states to operationalize the updated framework and the Islamabad Declaration, particularly in child and youth-centered DRR programming, regional knowledge exchange and capacity development, as we're discussing here today, support to governments in inclusive policy development, and strengthening data systems, early warnings, and resilient social services. If DRR is not child-centered, it is incomplete. If climate action does not protect children, it is unjust. And if resilience does not start with children, it will not last. With political will, strong regional coordination and cooperation, and inclusive investments, ECO member states can build a safer, more resilient future for every child, with the ECO Secretariat and member states playing a key convening role in turning commitments into action. Ladies and gentlemen, UNICEF stands ready to support you all in making this happen. Working together, we can do better. Thank you very much.
We are very grateful for the participation of UNICEF in the initiative which is family-centric, and we are very also, every one of us has been a child once, and we are looking forward to protect all the children of tomorrow and for all the disasters. So we are reaching out on a greater scale with the help of UNICEF and all the regions to help out the family clusters and groups which are more centric to the vulnerable communities and less empowered sections on these issues. May I now request the last speaker from UNICEF Tajikistan, Mr. Jamshed Hazanov, who would be joining us online, please. He is Chief of the Climate, Environment, Energy, and DRR section there. Mr. Jamshed, please.
Yes.
Yeah, he's there. He's there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Excellencies, and distinguished colleagues. It's a pleasure and honor to be part of today's event and to briefly share our experience with excellent experience with ECA Secretariat. Over the past month, our partnership has shown how regional institutions and UN agencies can work together in practical, result-oriented way, moving from dialogue to delivery. And I would like to briefly speak about the ECO UNICEF AI-supported child-centered DRR animation, which is one of the concrete results of our growing cooperation with ECO Secretariat. And this animation is part of our wider partnership partnership with ECO Secretariat, including our 2-year work plan, which activities are designed to strengthen child-centered and inclusive disaster risk reduction, focusing on early warning for children, safe schools, community preparedness, and youth engagement, so that the regional plans turn into the real tools for children, families, and communities. And importantly, this video was produced using new digital and AI-based technologies with children and young people actively engaged in shaping the story, allowing us to create child-friendly content that is faster to produce, more innovative, cost-effective, and truly speaks the language of children and youth. Children are among the most affected by disasters, yet they are often the least targeted by technical DRR messages. And the objective of this ECO UNICEF AI animation is to explain the disaster risks and preparedness in a simple, engaging way, so children can understand, remember, and act. And the animation uses a child-friendly story shaped by young voices from across ECO member states to present safety measures in a simple and creative way that children can easily understand and remember. We hope this animation will not only be watched but used by schools, families, and communities as a simple tool to start conversation and build everyday habits of safety. And together with our work plan, this animation shows how regional cooperation can move from policy to practice, creating tools that support early warning, school safety, community preparedness, and youth engagement. And with that, it's my pleasure to invite you to watch the ECO UNICEF AI child-centered DRR animation. Thank you.
May I now request Mr. Jamshed to also please run the animation of the video, please. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be showing a short animation video by UNICEF on the project that he was talking about earlier. Please.
Hello, young heroes. Did you know that some parts of the world face natural disasters like earthquakes, floods, mudslides, and landslides? The Economic Cooperation Organization, or ECO, is a group of 10 countries that work together to help and support one another, especially during times like these. When disasters happen, children are often affected the most. But here's the good news. Kids can learn how to stay safe and help others too. Our little ECO activists will guide you through child-centered disaster risk reduction. Fun, simple, and smart ways to understand risks, prepare for emergencies, and protect ourselves and our communities. Let's learn, act, and become safer together.
Disaster prevention means planning ahead so natural disasters like earthquakes, floods, or sand and dust storms don't hurt us as much.
My kit has water, snacks, a flashlight, and a whistle, so I'm ready if storm hits.
Good thinking. Always pack the essentials.
We build homes on strong ground with deep foundations. Earthquakes can't knock them down. Also, healthy ecosystems like forests and wetlands can stop floods and landslides naturally.
Buildings designed to survive earthquakes. We practice drills, fire and flood to stay calm and move fast when seconds count. Our community can organize drills, make plans, and volunteer for response teams.
Practice makes perfect.
Forests and wetlands are nature's shells. They slow floods and stop landslides. Protecting our environment is part of disaster risk reduction.
Our community meets to map safe routes and assign helpers. Teamwork keeps everyone safe.
Together we're stronger.
Alert. Give us time to move. Early warning save lives.
Clean water and quick latrines stop disease after floods. Families stay healthy.
We are very grateful to have this exposition of a great help which can be utilized by all
all the member countries as they progress into the sessions ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now turn over to Member Disaster Risk Reduction, National Disaster Management Authority of Pakistan, Mr. Idris Masood, to give us a rundown of the events that were conducted yesterday, the high-level working group meeting as a follow-up or a component of the 10th ECO Ministerial meeting on disaster risk reduction. He will also highlight some of the key components of the ECO regional frameworks and the implementation projects. Member, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you all are aware that yesterday the senior officials gathered together as a high-level working group, and we worked on different aspects of the considerations that are put before the honorable ministers. The first one was the ECO DRR framework, which has been put together after due diligence and consideration of 2 years consultative process. It will guide the ECO region, the Secretariat and member countries for next 5 years in all the realms of the disaster risk management, from search and rescue to risk financing to preparedness, mitigation and joint collaboration. All aspects are covered in that. We generally agreed with that, and we have a proposals and contributions as an annex to the framework. We decided to keep it open for all the member countries to include any proposal or project in future. There were certain projects that were presented, like with UNICEF and other partners. Then we also urged the Secretariat to further enhance its activities and reach out to all the member countries and the donors and partners to further strengthen the disaster risk reduction in activities, projects and intervention. We also considered the Islamabad Declaration, which has been finalized by all the delegates, and both these documents are excellencies placed before the honorable meeting of the honorable ministers, and we propose that these two be approved, please. We will have a narration of the Islamabad Declaration afterwards.
You can see also the Islamabad Declaration, which will be displayed on the screen, along with its translation in the language, Russian language primarily, and then it's also audio which can be displayed. Go ahead, please.
ECO Ministerial Meeting on Disaster Risk Reduction, DRR. Islamabad, Pakistan, 21 January 22nd, 2020. Islamabad Declaration on DRR. We, the ministers and heads of delegation of ECO member states, convening on January 22nd, 2026 in Islamabad for 10th ECO Ministerial Meeting on DRR, hosted by the National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA, of the Government of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, reaffirm our commitment to the principles enshrined in Article 2 of the Izmir Treaty, and relevant ECO documents, including ECO Vision 2025, and the pertinent provisions of the Sendai Framework for DRR, and while recalling the recommendations of the 9th ECO Ministerial Meeting on Disaster Risk Management, held under the chairmanship of the Republic of Tajikistan in Dushanbe in 2024, emphasized the imperative of strengthening regional cooperation in the field of DRR. Underpinning need to update ECO Regional Framework on DRR, ECORF for period 2025 to 2030, affirm that this framework represents a significant step forward in advancing comprehensive and coordinated DRR efforts across ECO region. Following the priorities, objectives, and targets of Sendai Framework for DRR, SFDRR, emphasize enhancing innovative DRR in ECO region through, inter alia, technology-driven capacity-building initiatives, redefined anticipatory actions protocols in compliance with well-advanced disasters early warning, actionable comprehensive trainings of all responders through multi-hazard approach to DRR, sustainable financing mechanisms, advocacy and effective monitoring processes. Collating critical advanced technologies and globally tested resilience best practices from incorporated academia and stakeholders, a firm integration of innovative solutions, including early warning systems, shared climate data analytics and development of joint response systems. Upgrading regional initiatives for timely risk communications, building joint capacities for search and rescue, timely sharing of seismic data, logistic relief coordination, smart pre-assured commitments through diplomacy, efficient risk governance, corresponding precise DRR investment, and determining alternate sources of financial and material support from communities, humanitarian partners, volunteers, private sector, and industry. Noting the recommendations of the first Eco Forum on Sustainable Development, Turkmenistan, 2025, the first Eco Youth Forum and the first Eco Women Forum, Azerbaijan, 2025, with a view to incorporating their outcomes into the ECORF to strengthen the role of women and youth in climate resilience and DRR, expanding reach into all vulnerable and marginalized groups. Welcoming strengthened collaboration with United Nations Office for DRR, UNDRWA, and United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, UNESCAP, regional initiatives as proposed by AFAD, Republic of Turkey for Regional Seismic Data Center through updated Memorandum of Understanding, cooperation with the Asia-Pacific Disaster Preparedness and Information Platform, APTIM, and UNICEF, to implement a joint program for the next 5 years. Have decided to promote cooperation among member states and with international stakeholders and partners, in alignment with the Eco-Strategic Objectives 2035 and the ECORF. Welcome the offer of establishment of a regional seismic data center, by AFAD, Republic of Turkey, in order to exchange real-time seismic data among ECO member countries as agreed in the 8th ECO Ministerial meeting on DRR in Istanbul in 2021. Welcome the recently agreed 2-year work plan between the ECO Secretariat and UNICEF Tajikistan, aimed at cooperation on the development of a new regional framework and strategic action plan for children and other vulnerable groups, in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goals. Appreciate the launch of the ECO, UNICEF Tajikistan joint project entitled Short Animation Video for Children of the ECO Region on Disaster Prevention and Preparedness, aligned with the ECORF, aimed at enhancing awareness, understanding, and interest in disaster prevention, preparedness and recovery among children and the wider eco-society, as well as improving public information and outreach on DRR. Invite and encourage member states to actively engage in the approved project on the land hazard zonation map of ECO member states. Call upon member states to take concrete measures to ensure inclusive DRR by empowering vulnerable groups including people with age and disabilities, as well as encourage women and youth as central actors in climate action, innovation, social resilience, and DRR. Welcome the efforts of ECO Secretariat to incorporate the recommendations of above-mentioned forums in line with the ECO Strategic Goals 2035, with a view of strengthening the role of women and youth in DRR. Acknowledging the importance of collaboration in the spirit of whole-of-government and society approaches, encourage member states, national, regional and international public and private organizations to support programs, projects, and initiatives contributing to DRR in the ECO region, including capacity building and training programs facilitated by the ECO Secretariat. Welcome the offer by Pakistan National Disaster Management Authority, PAC NDMA, to utilize its National Emergencies Operations Center, NEOC, as an eco-hub for DRR plans, multilateral training, simulation and development of joint stock takes, narrative proposals, and shared approach to galvanize proactive disasters management methods, matured template advanced by PAC and NDMA, to support early identification of emerging hazards and risks and consider utilizing customized models like PAC and NDMA NEOCS. Scalable framework for similar facilities commissioning in ECO member states, with technical support available from Pakistan. Encourage the conduct of regular joint trainings and simulation exercises, like comprehensive international simulation exercises, CISE, introduced and recommended by PAC and NDMA, involving relevant national authorities, technical experts, academia, military and civil defense institutions, private sector, non-governmental organizations, volunteer groups, and humanitarian partners, to strengthen regional preparedness and interoperability. Support the joint development and shared use of regional common operating tools. Promote globally tested resilience models, and strengthen technology-enabled capacity building of early responders through partnerships among all stakeholders. Advise the Secretariat to make further efforts to encourage and facilitate the implementation of updated eco-regional framework on DRR, in line with the ECO Strategic Goals 2035 to improve collaboration and coordination among member states. Express deep gratitude and appreciation to the National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA, of the Government of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan for the excellent arrangements made for the meeting, and commend the ECO Secretariat for its valuable contribution to the successful organization of the event.
Excellencies, we have seen the draft of the Islamabad Declaration, and we have also incorporated all the initial comments of the participants. Some minor changes, about 2 or 3 words, where Turkey's delegation has proposed that to include the word of with support of ECO Secretariat, and that has also will be ensured that it's part of the final draft, which is. But I guess with overall consensus of this draft, we may consider if there is any input from the countries. I'll come up, sir. From any country, so that we can add into it and then we can formally declare. Yes, Turkey, please.
Actually, I would like to add something. As Turkey AFAD proposed to establish the regional seismic data center, and we propose that the ECO Secretariat should coordinate this initiative. Thus, we should add a small sentence at the end of the paragraph, so that after 2021, with the coordination of the ECO Secretariat, it will be better.
We'll do that, sir.
If we add this sentence in the end of the paragraph.
I will ask the hosts to add this, and then after the last briefing of this today, we'll show that amendment has been incorporated, and then we can consider it appropriate for adoption.
Thank you.
May I now request that, sir, the formal report is also being prepared, and that shall be. Yeah. And I'm sure if you have seen in the declarations, we have included multiple initiatives which have been utilized and introduced by various member countries, and some of the in some of the areas where we have proposed that NEOC, Pakistan, and AFAD, and those technical hubs, where we have also already have successful templates ready, they can be utilized by anybody, and we offer all these capabilities. Our technical team of National Disaster Management Authority has already shown all of these capabilities in one form or the other. But in the formal report of this will be channelized through the ECO Secretariat, and this report will be submitted through the diplomatic channels for your esteemed considerations. Sir, we would request for your feedbacks and comments on this report, and we see that adhering to the silence procedure of 15 days, your insights will be invaluable in refining the collective efforts of this forum. And then we'll consider that report formally adopted and put into action, please. And if you can see on the screen that the input from Turkey has been incorporated into the Islamabad declaration. If there's any more consideration or any more input from the participants, we may also consider that. And if you see that it has been all addressed. Sorry.
This has been added.
This should be included in the declaration.
In the invitations?
Declaration.
We have a recommendation from Iran, please. The Islamic Republic of Iran.
You can ask.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
We have a suggestion to add at page 3, please. Invite the member states to join the status of RCRM to fully operational. That is actually ECO Regional Center for Risk Management of Natural Disasters.
I understand it has already been added. Mr. Tekken?
Excuse me, who is responsible for this operationalization?
This, it has been established, sir, by Iran, and they are proposing that all the member states should be invited to operationalize this center.
Has it been operationalized? Not yet.
It's offered by Iran, and
okay. We may add it in. There's a proposal to operationalize and then formally adopt the protocols of RCRM.
Thank you, sir.
May I request the team which is already putting it into it?
Second last page.
Go to the second last page, please.
Second last page, first para.
Public policy.
Just
go on the top.
On the top. Yeah, invite and encourage member states to actively engage in the approved project of land. Sir, iske saath we will add the wordings. And also, type at the end. And also invite the member states to join the status of regional center. What is
इसको capital कीजिएगा. Not status.
Okay. Statute of.
Go to the word status and
Statute of.
Yeah, Statute of Regional Center
for Risk Management of Natural Disasters.
इसके capital कर दीजिएगा. RCRM.
In bracket. ECO RCRM.
इसको bold और italic कर दें. M. इसके RCRM M not N.
M for mango.
ऊपर पे इसको Regional Center for Risk Management को first capital कर दें.
The natural disasters also first capital, including
capital करके boards को bold कर दें पूरा. For को F छोटा करें.
Okay.
एक मिनट है. Regional Center for Risk Management to be bold and italic. अभी था. Okay. आगे लिखना है.
To make it fully operational. To make it fully operational. Okay.
Yes. इसमें क्या होगा? Make it mean they are asking for financial assistance. नहीं सर, वो agreement है. Okay. Jane White. Full stop. Full stop, please. Full stop. Full stop. Any other recommendation? Because this has adopted a framework which has never been adopted or crafted in the language or in the approach before. This is the time when it has underscored the necessity of incorporating technology and experience into our proactive disaster management. And this proactive disaster management is essentially going from not only the planners and the responders, but it is also addressing the financial sector providers, the resource providers, logistics, academia, volunteers, and all humanitarian partner organizations who are committed to support the localized and regional disasters across the globe. And we expect that in the times to come, this declaration will provide the master blueprint of all actionable plans for people and communities to interact, for countries to come together and to conduct meaningful, comprehensive joint exercises by reducing the duplications and redundancies. We expect and we put a word of thanks for everyone who has contributed in the high-level working group meetings yesterday and the honorable formal ministerial inputs received from formal diplomatic centers of all the member countries too. We are very grateful for the Honorable Secretary General, ECO and the member participants who have joined together at Islamabad to be a part or member of this historic moment. Inshallah, we expect in times to come, we will translate all of these indicative initiatives into actionable plans which can really be shown as a tangible progress towards our 2030 goals of reducing the disaster's risks. This is a plan which gives a lot of direction and guidance to not only the countries which are affected by these disasters, but they also give a plausible line of action for all those who have financial capacity for help or they have experiences to share their archived exposures to these disasters and reduce the risk. I'll be very grateful for any formal report which will be circulated and adopted later on. At the conclusion, sir, before we go over to the technical team of the NDMA, sir, we will be having agenda number item 8, which is date and venue for the 11th ECO Ministerial meeting on disaster risk reduction. May I also seek any offer from any member state for the conduct time and the hosting hospitality for all these formalities. And that, we can also leave this to for the Secretariat to formally approach all the countries and then issue the plan for the next 11th sectorial ministerial meeting on issue. Ma'am, let's turn over to our technical team of NDMA to briefly tell what all has been achieved in the recent past, and obviously this is actually the proof